The objective of this presentation is to provide insight into the property tax levy process and give a summary of the tax levy for 2020. State statutes require that the annual tax levy ordinances be filed with the county clerk on or before the last Tuesday in December. Taxing authorities all across DuPage County send their tax levy requests to the county clerk. Levies are expressed as a specific dollar amount. The county clerk sets a property tax rate based on the equalized assessed value of all property in the village as determined by the two township assessors. Tax bills are prepared by the county treasurer and go out near the end of April. Taxpayers pay tax bills in two installments, one in June and the second in September. Property tax payments are made to the county treasurer, who then distributes the village's share. In examining tax bills throughout the village, there are two factors that cause the village's share from individual tax bills to be different in certain parts of the community. These differences are mainly related to school districts, fire districts, and townships. The tax rate shown here is for tax code 2041, which represents the largest tax value of the village's 2019 Equalized Assessed Valuation. With so many different taxing authorities, it can be confusing to understand who gets property tax money and how much. This currency chart represents a breakdown in percentages of taxes retained by each taxing district. On average, and depending on where you live, 10.6% of the property tax burden comes from the village. For example, on an average tax bill of $6,118, the village receives 10.6%, or $648, while the remaining portion goes to other taxing districts. Schools get the highest percentage. When we analyze the components of an average $6,118 property tax bill, we see what each separate taxing body receives. An important distinction within the village is that there is no park district taxing body. Instead, the village has a recreation department. What this means to residents is that the $648 includes a tax levy for recreation. And because the village includes recreation as part of its overall tax levy, our comparison to other municipalities can appear higher. An advantage to having a recreation department, as opposed to a separate park district, is the benefits of unified administrative and support services. To give you some perspective on the difference between park district tax levies and the village's levy for recreation, note in this table that the village had the lowest amount levied in 2019 compared to surrounding communities which have separate park districts. Going back then to our previous $648 property tax example, this table shows you the breakdown of what services the village provides with those tax dollars. If you converted the village's tax bill into a daily rate, the cost of village services would only be $1.78 per day. In this chart, you can see how equalized assessed values, or EAV, have fluctuated over the last decade. Beginning in 2016 is when we saw housing values rebound. The EAV has been on a steady climb for the last 4 years, but is still shy of 2010 levels. In the 9 years from 2008 to 2016, the village essentially held the line when it came to the property tax levy, keeping a promise made by the mayor and board of trustees to be fiscally responsible with public dollars. As a direct consequence of state actions in 2017, the village was forced to increase the property tax levy by 5%. With the village seeing strong and steady commercial development, staff were able to recommend a 0% increase for the 2020 tax levy. This would be the third consecutive year in which the levy request has been for the same amount of property tax dollars. It should be noted that property taxes are a small portion of the total funds required to provide village services. Should you have any questions, please contact Director Poling at 630-909-5342.